Right, let us talk about lockdown skeptics. As you will notice, I have set up here in the sauna a green screen. So instead of you seeing like my shed wood, you can actually see whatever I decide to put behind me. And today, this evening, tonight, I thought I would show you, if I can move out of the way, the state of our hospitals at the moment. Come on, camera, get with me. Oh God, I hate it when it does that. Right, let's see if I can sort out this. Focus, focus, focus. God, this is annoying. Right, wait. Why does this camera not recognize? Maybe I'll have to kill this and start again. Otherwise, I'm going to spend my entire time like a blur. Come on, camera. Have you got focus on me yet? Have you got focus on me yet? Have you got focus on me yet? Right, this fucking gonna kill me now, isn't it? It's gonna be the bloody death of me if... There we go. My God, what an intro. I wasn't expecting that. Okay, let's talk about lockdown skeptics. Because of course they've made many disastrous predictions. They've got things wrong. They were telling us to look at the example of Sweden, and Sweden, of course, has now done extremely badly. Toby Young, the head of the group called Lockdown Skeptics, was saying that this second wave, he was saying in summer, right about in the middle there, was not going to materialize, and then look at it now, absolutely flooding our hospitals. And so why do I even want to talk about lockdown skeptics when when the new lockdown was introduced, the public, 85% of them supported a new lockdown, 62% of those very strongly, even 87% of Tories supported the second lockdown, with only 11% against. So the lockdown skeptics have absolutely lost it in the public argument. Why would I bother spending time on this? I mean, even before the new lockdown was announced on January the 4th, the day before, there was 79% who would have supported it, 51% strongly, and this was up from December 22nd, where 71% were supporting it. So as it's got more pressing and as the government have gone with it, there's been more support with it. Just goes to show that Twitter and the mouthing off of the likes of Julia Hartley-Brew and others is totally unrepresentative of what's out there. Nevertheless, I do think that we need to discuss some of the issues here, because I don't want us to get caught out further down the line. Let me explain. Even though it is quite clear that the lockdown skeptics have lost so many arguments along the way, and you even now have them eating their own within the Conservative Party, within the Telegraph, nevertheless, there are some issues that they are flagging up that if we don't get on the front foot with, they will start owning those issues. So we're talking from everything about job losses, mental health, domestic abuse, alcohol misuse, and then backlogs of cancer and other diagnostics in hospitals. They are starting to claim that as their territory. They are starting to say that our scientists are, or in the words of Alison Pearson, autistic scientists are only looking at this virus and they're not looking at the whole ramifications of other things associated with actually engaging in the lockdowns. So I think that we do need to address that. I do think that the way that the government and the scientists around them have been presenting things are just in terms of hospital occupancy and then life and death, and then the vaccine race. Whereas what you have is you've got all of those people who get coronavirus who may develop long COVID, and we're not talking about those. There is the issue of, with hospital occupancy, once you block it up, then you get what is called avoidable deaths happening. You've got to factor that in as well. When hospitals are blocked up, you also have the diagnostics capability and the ability to do other operations blocked up. But then also when you engage in measures such as lockdown, that does force people together where you get domestic abuse, where you get mental health problems, and you have to have bandwidth to address those. So who are the people who would know about all of these things? It is scientists. So to say that scientists are myopically focused purely on coronavirus is a misrepresentation. And what we should be doing within the science community is actually ourselves saying, well, actually, we are the epidemiologists that talk about mental health, that talk about health services research and the backups in the system, which then cause more cancer deaths. Those scientists need to get forward and into the modeling so that what we're presenting to the public is actually this fuller picture. We should not cede this ground to the likes of Toby Young and Julia Hartley-Brewer that are that can then claim that narrative as their own. This is something that we need to sort of build into all of it. Furthermore, there's something else which is very important, and lockdown skeptics are not the same as coronavirus skeptics. Their main claim is that the cure is worse than the disease that we're trying to fix. Whereas most of us that are looking at this would say that coronavirus itself is far more damaging if let loose than the lockdown measures that you impose. So what we do need to do, and we do need to present, is the model of what the government is doing and why. If you go into a lockdown scenario until the summer, what is going to be the impact on jobs, on mental health, on provision of other services, and so forth and so on? They should be publishing that. It's always valid to ask when someone does something, it's valid to ask them to show their workings, to evidence their proposals. I mean, I am a Remainer. One of the major beefs that we had during the whole Brexit debate was that the Vote Leave campaign were not producing a working model and a proposal of what they would do and why. So I do think that we need to have that on the table. I mean, in terms of what would happen if you were to just let loose and say, oh, we can't be bothered doing lockdowns anymore, what would happen then? In fact, even back right at the beginning of the pandemic, there was that model that said 500,000 people would die. Now, given that we have had 80,000 people die and about approximately 15–20% of the population have got coronavirus, if you times that by 5 and then build in the effects of overflow on the NHS that people can't treat, it's roundabout in the rough ballpark there is an estimate of what would happen. And for those lockdown skeptics who say, no, but we're not saying just let loose, we're saying shield the elderly and vulnerable and protect them, but it can let rip through the rest of the population, we do, I think, need to responsibly show the models that show, well, this isn't going to be great for your economy because a lot of people don't want to get this. They know it's high risk. They know that there are lots of people that either get full coronavirus and can die or can suffer long-term deleterious harm. So they're not going to be out and they're not going to be shopping. And also there's going to still be lots of people that need treatment in hospitals. You're still going to flood your hospitals. You're still going to have cancer care backlog and so forth and so on. I do think it is worth presenting all of those for the record. And I do think also that we need nationally to start presenting what is the framework by which we build ourselves out of the current scenario. The cycling, the boom and the bust of the lockdowns and alleviate to different tiers, then, oh no, we screwed up and lockdowns again and so forth and so on. All of that fluctuation causes its own problems as well. And we can't be going through those fluctuations on the way out, because when you've got, for example, different tiers and different areas, people will move between the different areas to go to a lower tier if they want out. The obedience is breaking down. Thank you, Dominic Cummings. But also thanks to the confusing messaging of the government. So given that we do have vaccines on the way, What we really need now is a stable framework to hold the fort as we slowly build out of the current circumstance. What we did at the all-party parliamentary group on coronavirus, which our campaign March for Change runs, is actually to design such a framework. It's called COVID Secure UK. Basically, it is like lockdown with full compensation for all the businesses. You devolve the test and trace to the local areas because it's been shown that they do it better. And then you have testing in the airports. This is what we presented a good month back. They're starting to do bits of it now. But then alongside that, what you also need to start to do is to start thinking about the recovery plan of this country from the situation we're in. And that's when you start bringing in all of the different measurements, not just of the vaccine rollout, not just of the number of people that have died from it, gone to hospital, have long COVID, but also all of the data that you have about job losses, mental health indicators, schooling, home problems, things like that. We need to see metrics about that on a daily basis because we now have a wider problem to deal with, and that all comes as a complex set. And my key concern here is that we evolve from where we are now, just monitoring the virus, to that multi-factor recovery plan and keep the entire population updated on what those key factors are and how we're monitoring all of those and how we're alleviating all of those. And I think that's critical to address because I don't want us not to talk about this and then just have it as something that a lot of these crazy lockdown skeptics then start claiming as their own territory. They were the only ones who were ever concerned about it. I think for the sake of science and quality science and the respect of science and the science community, we need to get our scientists out and talking about and tackling all of these different issues too. Right, that's it. I am done. Cool, good night. Drop your thoughts in the comments and I will go and have a look through them now.